Woohoo! It is July, a double-digit month for sure. You've got the 7-month and the 7-year because you see 2023 adds up to a 7 and it's the 7th month of the year. And that means it could be considered the most spiritual month of all 12 months. And when I checked into the energy, you may indeed want to amp up your spiritual practice just a bit. This year is full, or this month is full of activities, excitement, a deeper connection with spirit. We actually kick off July with July the 3rd, right before Independence Day in the U.S., which is the 4th of July, with fireworks and everything else, and the day after the full moon, which is on July the 3rd. Now, it's really interesting because that full moon is actually considered the buck moon. In some parts of the world, you may experience the scent of freshly cut grass, or a buck, fragrant flowers, or a buck, fresh herbs, or sunscreen and chlorine. Either way, you may also hear the laughter of children playing outside. You know, July always reminds me of one of my favorite jobs. I was a fire hydrant maiden. In Parsons, Kansas, I went around 4 days out of the week to different parts of the town, and I turned on the fire hydrants with a specific nozzle, and all the neighborhood kids would come out and play in it. And it was so much fun to watch them. But I digress. The sights and sounds of July are really pretty exciting. The full moon of July, as I said earlier, is called the buck moon because that's when the antlers start changing during July. You know, they go from that soft, velvety rack, and it's shedding that velvet and to become the hardened rack that they have during mating season. That symbolizes the strength and a season of abundance. In July, you will want to use that energy to prepare your goals and intentions for the remainder of the year. No more procrastination here. And July is actually a time to get out into nature. You know, share family fun and enjoy your surroundings before things really dry up in August. As far as what Adironnda says about July, take a deep breath. When I went into the energy of July, I felt a definite quickening. Moving through the energy of the month, there may be some global mishaps and maybe even some destructive energies floating about, as we have seen in the past few months this year. So I implore you to be more mindful of the peace that you choose to create. Live that peace. Live that frequency. I mean, visualize what that looks like. See what it feels like to be in peace. Adironnda encouraged me to connect with my family as well. I would like you to connect with your family too. Be sure that they're doing all right. Just let them know that you love them. I mean, despite your differences, it doesn't matter. Adironnda suggests that you love them regardless. Also, they suggest that it's a time to be conservative with your finances in July. That's when I got a little nervous. That didn't make me happy. It caused a little, anxiety in me. And although Adironnda suggested for me to be conservative with my finances, they still reminded me that divine order is in process. And they talked about the frequency of the month. And I saw that I would describe that frequency as loving, despite that little nervousness about the finances. I felt Master Yeshua, Jesus, come in to reassure me that everything was all right and in divine order, and that the planet itself is experiencing this shift, as are all the people on the planet. We are preparing to make contact with other planets, so we may feel a bit off center. We may feel like we are waiting for something and not knowing what it is. So there could be a little edginess or the feeling of being a little short-tempered. Rest assured, though, According to Yeshua, love is still the expanding energy that we will focus on. Just as the buck can represent aggression and be a bit territorial, he is also a deer, which is at its core representing peace and nobility. In July, that is what Yeshua asks us to focus on: peace for the planet and its people. Be alert to your family. Understand their differences and show compassion and benevolence for those differences. It is not a time to be territorial or escalate those perceived differences. Instead, it's a time to look for the loving similarities between people, your family, and even those that you don't really know. As you are kicking off the month with fireworks in the United States, connect with the desire to bask in the light of your vacation. Please understand that you might still be feeling the tension of the planet, even though it isn't actively touching your life. This is Yeshua's influence of love. Remember, no matter what, love is the integral part of this creation. So let's create something extraordinary in July. This is also that 7-7 energy, 7 being spirituality, looking forward into that future, analyzing it, but surging forward with the innate knowledge that life is truly a balancing act. That 7 really is just balancing on its own with no foundation, a bit asymmetrical, but still standing upright. We as light workers can undoubtedly shift the planet's energy. So focus on what you would like to see this month rather than what appears to be pushing against that creation. Remember, we start this month with that big buck type of energy of the full moon, and we can slide through just as we need to. Let's continue with a little gentler and more spiritual nature of that deer. That's it for this month. Namaste, y'all. Namaste.